Hi team, today we're going to be talking about the mean as leveling and continuing developing our understanding of what the mean actually means. So let's quickly have a look at our success criteria. Mainly we're going to be focusing on number 1 and number 2 today. So it is to describe what the mean, median and mode represents for a set of data, but obviously we're focusing mainly on the mean today. And number 2 is to calculate the mean, median and mode for a set of data. Last time we spoke about we continued to talk about measures of center, specifically we spoke about the mean. Last time we spoke about the mean as a balance point. This time we're going to be talking about the mean as leveling, which is a slightly different way to think about it. And I think it's a very good way, it's a very useful way. So let's have a look at the key concept for this lesson. We can think of the mean as a leveling out of data. Short and sweet, to the point. So let's see if we can think of an example or do an example to illustrate this point. Imagine that you have a teacher and they haven't done their homework, they've got all these lollies they want to give to their students. They've got 5 students, but they haven't thought about how they're going to distribute them fairly. So they sort of just grab a handful and just distribute them willy-nilly or however they like. And it turns out that the first student gets 8 lollies, second student gets 4, the third student gets 5, fourth student gets 6, and the last student here gets 7 lollies. What I encourage you to do is to think about how you would spread the lollies evenly between the students and how many would everyone get in that situation if they were distributed evenly. Pause the video, have a think about that for a couple of minutes. So now I'll talk you through how I would approach this problem. I think a good way to start would be to collect all the lollies together. The teacher didn't do a good job of distributing them fairly, so let's just sort of start again in a sense and gather all the lollies together and work out how many lollies we have all together, and then we can decide how to share them evenly. So that's going to look something like this. First of all, work out how many lollies there are all together. And we can do that just by adding up all the data points. So it's 8 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7. What we're going to do now is we're going to divide it evenly between the 5 students. So we're going to share it evenly between 5 students. So we divide by 5. When we add 8, 4, 5, 6, and 7, that gives us 30. 30 divided by 5 gives us 6. So the mean of this data is 6. And we can sort of, the way to think about it is we've sort of leveled out that data. We've distributed it evenly and we've leveled it out so that everyone's getting an even amount. With a bit of animation magic, we can see how we've redistributed it there, so everyone has 6 lollies each. So we would say that the mean or the average of this data is 6. You might be wondering why we're thinking about it as leveling the data when really we're sort of distributing it more fairly. I encourage you to think about it like this, where each column here represents the amount of lollies that each student has. So the first student obviously has 5, 4, 8. Sorry, the first student has 8, 4, 5, 6, 7. And we're going to level this data out. And the way we can do that, as we saw before, is that each student gets 6. So we go from a situation where it's unfairly distributed and we sort of level the data out and everyone gets 6. And we realized before the way we do that is we add all the numbers together. Back here, we add all the numbers together and divide by how many students there are. So just to summarize, we can think of the mean as a leveling out of data. And the way we can do that is to add up all the numbers together and divide by the number of data points that there are. Hopefully you found that useful, and the activity associated with this is something you can move on to right now. So good luck and reach out to your teacher if you have any questions.